Welcome back. So let's import the project which we created in the last lecture. So the project is in Rahul directory and the project name is Maven Java. Okay, but just before you import in Eclipse, make sure that you give this command. Okay, so without this command, it will not generate the files which are necessary for Eclipse to recognize. So alright, so one thing you need to note here, by default, all the current versions of Eclipse have Maven plugin. Okay, earlier few years ago there is no Maven plugin for Eclipse, but in all the recent versions of their releases, Eclipse plugin is already present in the tool. Okay, so you can read it from their official documentation. So this is the link. Go to this link and they are saying that Eclipse Maven integration. This project is part of Eclipse Oxygen, Neon, Moss. So all these are different Eclipse versions. So when you download, just make sure that you are downloading the version which is one of it here. Or maybe right now the version is Oxygen and tomorrow while watching you would see one more new version name. Okay, just go to this link and make sure that new version is here, is part of this Maven integration. Or one simple thing is you can simply go to help, window, click on preferences. So in preferences you will see something like this, Maven. So if you see this Maven word in the preferences, so that means Maven is already installed in your Eclipse. If you feel that it is missing, then you can go ahead and use this documentation to attach that plugin to your Eclipse. But it's obviously that will be there. So if not, please update your Eclipse because all the recent versions have the Maven. Okay, and one more thing you need to configure with Maven is click on Window, Preferences, select the Maven and come to this User Setting tab. So basically we are keep on telling that once we give the dependencies 4 lines of code, this Maven project will be automatically connect to our Maven repository and get the jars for us. Okay, you should not hard code anything, but after it connecting to that Maven repository, it will download the jars for our project, right? So where those jars are located in our machine? So you should get that question by now. So till the last lecture I am saying that Maven will take care of that by connecting to its repository over internet and will get the jars for us. Once it gets the jars, where it will place? So it will get placed in the .m2 folder in your directory, whatever. So once you install Maven in your machine, automatically .m2 folder will be created. So in the .m2 folder under repository, you will see all the jars which Maven brought for you from its repository. Okay, so if this setting is not set by default, you have to make sure that you need to give this path to Eclipse, because Eclipse will look for the jars where the Maven brought it. Okay, so ultimately Eclipse needs jars to run the project. In earlier projects we just hard coded it in the project build path, but here in the Maven we are saying that Maven will bring for us. So in that case Eclipse should know, right, where exactly Maven is placing all our jars by bringing it from its own repository. So that this is the link. Okay, here you will have all your repository jars. If this file path is not set already in your Eclipse, make sure you give this path. Alright, so I'll show that where you will get all these jars. So let me pull the project first and get all our dependencies, and then I will show where exactly this will reflect. So right now you can just go file and say import. Okay, so in import you have here Maven. Click this and say existing Maven project, because our Maven project is already existing in our machine in the Rahul directory with the name called Maven Java. So we are going to import that project into our machine. So we are using Maven, existing Maven project. So click on next and root directory. No, why should be practice? One second. I think I highlighted this. File, import Maven existing Maven project. Click on next. Yeah, so let's give our own root directory. Let's not depend on this my app or practice. Okay, so I'll say as Maven Java. Okay, so click on finish. So that will import all your Maven projects into your laptop. Okay, you see that this is the project, right? We created in the Rahul directory. So I just gave the same in the Eclipse to import, so that all my project now imported. And now you see that in test and main folder hierarchy looks like this. So if you carefully observe this, package name is nothing but group ID, isn't it? And artifact ID is nothing but project name. Okay, this is how Maven gives us. So while creating the project, if you see the commands whatever you have given, let me see that. See, this is a group ID. Group ID will always be the package in your project, and whereas artifact ID will always be your project name. So that's what, right? So Selenium is my main package. Under Selenium, if I work on Python libraries, so my project is Python basically. So that comes as a project name. Okay, so please remember this terminologies, because you might be asked some kind of questions if you are really facing interview on project, like what could be the project name when you create a Maven using Maven commands. So our artifact ID, whatever we are passing, will be our project name, and whatever we are passing as a group ID will be our package name. So in general, all the repositories, all the resources and test data and page objects and API request, all those utilities will be placed in this main/Java, and all your test cases will be placed in this folder test/Java. So that's how Maven tells us to design our own customized framework top over its skeleton. Okay, this is a base skeleton given by Maven, and we have to introduce all our files into this folders as it's given by Maven. The common test template it is. And if you carefully observe here, there is something called pom.xml. So as I said in my previous lecture, this is heart for Maven. Okay, without this, there is no point you can run your Maven project. Okay, so let's just go through the pom.xml and see what all it have. So if you see here, first of all, pom.xml have information of the group ID and artifact ID of the project. Okay, and the version, because this is the first version we are using. And these are just basic, like what is the name of the project and URL kind of things. And if you see here, these are the dependencies. So we saw, right, if you want any jars in our project to make our scripts work, you need to simply copy those dependencies from Maven repository, and you need to paste that in this pom.xml file. Okay, so here is where you will place all your jar dependencies. Now when you run this project, first Maven will scan all your dependencies and it will connect to that specific Maven repository.com and make sure all those related jars are downloaded, and after download it will place at this particular point, okay, in the repository. So when your tests are executing, as your location is pointed to this path, it will identify jars there and all your test cases will run successfully. So that's the end-to-end concept of Maven. Now, as I said, dependencies will go as part of this pom.xml. So that's the reason I'm saying this is most important XML file in the entire Maven. If you don't have this, your project will not run. And also make sure that this path is always in the project level. Okay, you should not place anywhere inside the path, folders or packages. Those should be from your project level only. So that means when you open this, you should see the pom.xml. Okay, so this will come by default. Okay, you need not worry of creating this XML file and all. So once you create this Maven project with common skeleton structure, what it provides, pom.xml will be automatically generated for you. So what all you need to do is update this pom.xml based upon your project, like adding the dependencies and plugins like that. Okay, so that's about introduction of Maven skeleton and how it looks and how that can be imported into Eclipse, and this is how the packages looks like. And now we are clear that where to put all our test cases, where to put all our resources and utilities, and where to give the jar dependencies information. So using all these concepts, in the next lecture, let's start trying to execute Maven with some sample test cases and see that how it goes. All right, see you in the next lecture. Thank you.